welcome to Bantu Book Review. Thanks for listening again this week. Let's jump right into Hate It or Love It. So this week we read Soul Bonded, a Haven novel by Dria, Andersen. And for those of you who have not yet read it, but will, because you should, let me give you a brief description straight from the author. Love or Lust. Brianna can't remember and Fallon isn't sure, but fate put them in front of each other with the same goal, finding the Book of Divinity. When Brianna awoke, her body was battered and a year of her life missing. Surrounded by strangers, all claiming her the guardian of the sacred book, she was rightfully skeptical. She'd not escaped one cult to get dragged into another. The last thing Fallon Teagan wanted was to claim his mate. He'd spent his life mediating his family's squabbles, and he didn't want another burden. But to save her life, he bonded them and tied their souls together. Even as he doubted his decision, he couldn't regret the feel of her in his arms. Time is short, and the stakes are high as they work together to help Brianna recover her stolen memories and recover a book that could very well end their world. So this was a really dope book. It was a love story. And it's book number 2 of a 2-part series. Although the way that this book ended, I would not be surprised if there was a 3rd book in the making. But it's a love story, like I said, and it's sort of like fantasy, romance, fused with erotica, some magical realism. There's a lot going on here, but like I said, it's really, really, really good. And the story unravels bit by bit. So in the very beginning of the book, the reader is in the same position as Brianna, who is, I guess she's the protagonist with a love interest who's really one of the main characters as well. But it starts with Brianna. She's waking up. She has no idea where she is. She's totally disoriented. So the reader's in the same position. We're like, what is going on here? Who's this chick? What is going on? Like, how did she get here? Why is this happening? When am I going to understand? There are so many questions. And bit by bit, we're getting little pieces of the puzzle and kind of figuring out what's happening as we go along. And there's so many plot twists. And then there are so many different elements, like mythological things that are happening. And there are otherworldly creatures mixed with humans and demigods and gods and all this stuff. There's all this sexual energy and like lust and it's just real good. I could never do it any justice. Read the book. Get the book. You have to get the book. But like I said, it is so good. It is very much a love story. Lots of romance. Kind of makes me a little bit jealous. Like, where can I find this Fallon guy? But yeah, it's very good. So this made the emotionally intelligent word of the day very easy. Because after reading this, while reading this, I was feeling tense but invigorated. My senses and urges were heightened, and I'm like just feeling great, like good. I'm just feeling a lot of things. So yes, I encourage you all to go out into the world, get and give the love you need, because we all need love. We all need good love, and this book was a great love story. So let's turn the page to the so what and what's happening in the media. So what? So I read this study on theladders.com, which is not a website that I'd heard of before I found the study. But now I'll definitely be visiting often. So the study was about 4 drug-free rituals to boost your happiness. And it was really, really good because there were 4 tips given that were really helpful according to neuroscientists in neuroscience. So these tips, when put to use, will allow you to replace your meds, antidepressants, or whatever it is. If you're using things to boost your happiness and boost your energy and lift your spirits, these are some natural ways to make that happen. 4 important ways: get rid of the Prozac and caffeine and all this other stuff. You don't need it. Use these 4 tips and you're good as new. So the first one is gratitude. Apparently, gratitude affects your brain at the biological level. So just by being grateful, you done replaced all these meds that I was talking about and gotten rid of some of those negative feelings. And the cool thing, according to the study, is that you don't actually have to find things to be grateful for. There are some hard days when everything just kind of sucks. But just performing the exercise of trying to think about things that you're grateful for is enough to get you back on track emotionally. The second thing is to name your negative feelings. Call them out, and doing that very simple thing helps to release them. And this is something that I've known for a while, which is one of the reasons why I've made it a point to increase my emotional vocabulary. But literally naming your negative feelings, it helps so much just to say, this is how I feel. And once you say it, it helps you to release it. You're observing your emotions in that way. You kind of understand them better, and you can just let it go. Once you know what it is and how you're feeling, let it go. So name it. The third tip is to make the decision. So literally being indecisive sometimes can, we know, like have you hanging in the balance, clouding your judgment. You're not knowing what to do and how to do it, but just make the decision, and choosing what you like helps you to like what you choose. So be more decisive. And the final tip is physical touch. Physical touch is everybody's love language, and apparently the more extended the touch, the better. So you know what that means. No more church hugs. Give love hugs. Touch people. Don't be inappropriate, okay? Only touch people who want to be touched, of course. Disclaimer, there's such a thing as being appropriate. However, physical touch is one of those things that helps humans to feel connected, and all of these things in conjunction boost things like serotonin and helps with the dopamine production in your body. So yeah, I thought this was a really dope and helpful study to just contribute to finding the love in your life, man. If you have love, cherish it. And if you are searching for it, there are ways to love on yourself and take care of yourself. So that's a really good self-care tip that I found and wanted to share with you guys. Speaking of love, that is also the topic of audience engagement. So I want you to engage with me and let me know the things that you are working on in love. Tell me about love. How do you love? What you working on? Personally, I am working on not being a runner. There's a character in the story. His name is Fallon. When you read it, you'll learn a little bit more about Fallon and his love languages and some of his challenges. But I really identify with him because he's a runner, like I said. He has a hard time coming around to love, but he's one of those people like me who once he loves, it is deep and hard and strong and just, it's great, right? But getting there, journeying to the point of actually standing and stepping into love is a little bit hard to put yourself in that emotionally vulnerable place in the beginning. So yeah, for me, I definitely am a person who loves hard. I have an open heart. But yeah, it's just as easy for me to leave if I feel like there's some challenges. So yes, tell me what you're working on in love. Engage with me. Shout out this week again to categorizedtweets.com. I shouted out categorizedtweets.com last week as well, but this is a really important website that you're going to keep hearing me talk about because it's so important. Again, it was created by a Black woman engineer, genius, okay, trailblazer, icon. She created this website so that we could be more informed about our political representatives and their viewpoints as expressed via Twitter. So there are different categories that the tweets are grouped into when they fall into brackets like education or gun laws or race, immigration, all the things that we think are really important when it comes to voting for our elected officials. So go ahead and check out categorizedtweets.com. Use it, get involved, go out there and vote. And shout out to a couple MVPs in this book. Again, Soul Bonded, a Haven novel. Fallon has some really dope brothers and homeboys who keep him honest and accountable, and they let him know, don't play around with people's heart and don't play around and pussyfoot when it comes to love. If you ain't ready, then just get out the way. Don't waste people's time. So shout out to good advice. Shout out to brotherly love. Shout out to sisterhood and sister circles and our friends and our loved ones who keep us honest. Shout out to y'all for listening this week. And check me out on Twitter at Bantu Book Review and the internet's somewhere. I will see you guys next week. You'll hear me next week, better yet. And thanks again for listening.